Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Junior.
And my leg hurts.
And we're
The Nerdy Bros.
That's the best you could come up with?
What? No, my leg hurts a lot. So just
From doing what?
just a lot of
Calisthenics.
Well, it's just like lately at work, I most of the time never have to do anything. I shouldn't say never have to do anything. I've been working in an office a lot, switching from 12 hours of being on my feet. And this last week, I was only in the office for like a day, and I realized how little work or little physical work I've really been doing. And my leg is on fire. It's just like, if you're watching this, it just put some, just set me on fire. I'm just kidding. But anyways, guys, welcome back to the show. Hope you guys have enjoyed all the stuff that Junior and I have been putting out. Hope you guys have tuned into the Twitch streams or checked them out if you have at all.
We didn't Twitch last week, did we?
We didn't. We were extremely busy last week, and that's just like it's something that I was probably going to touch base on a little bit with just the fact that more often than not, I feel like a lot of our previous episodes, we usually tangent off into some part of like D&D, but it has started to really consume our lives. And by our, I mean mine. But I mean, we get to play tonight. You didn't respond to the group chat, only Megan did, but I told you how like Angel said that he was almost down to stay the night tonight, and then tomorrow we can watch Stranger Things. Part 2 of season 4.
Oh, I thought that was like some sort of a joke because you were like, but Angel said that his mom needs to talk to Megan because he's made that joke before.
That was the only joke part, but I laid out a plan where I was like, we go get snacks, do all that, and then I said we could maybe even talk to James, see if you listen to this episode. We could maybe even talk to him and see if he wanted to play D&D at night.
Like, tonight.
No, it would be
tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, when you're listening to this, it'll be tonight.
Yes.
If you listen to it on Friday, James. But maybe do that, and then Saturday, I'm literally gonna go play D&D later at night, and my buddy Pat, who maybe could come on the podcast sometime, and we could have a guest who knows his stuff about like D&D.
Maybe one lap.
But yeah, so fun stuff. But yeah, it just really has been consuming my life. Working on a lot of things. Almost completely done writing all of the stuff for the first campaign that we've been doing. And excited to... I was telling Angel, I was like, I think it would be hilarious to make it to the like penultimate session. And then right when you guys know next week is going to be the end of the game, I'm just like, all right, guys, I set up the one shot so we could do that and just prolong it. And he's like, oh, you wouldn't dare. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with me. But anyways, we'll dive right into the beginning of the show with something called Junior's Hot Take. In this part of the episode, we talk about something new and upcoming at Junior's Hot Take and Hot Opinion on it. And Junior, this looked really sick. I did not know it was going to take that turn when you originally were showing me the trailer. But Invitation, a new horror thriller seems to be coming out. And at first, it kind of gave me... that To Be or Not To Be movie. You know which one I'm talking about?
Ready or Not,
yeah. At first it gave me those kind of vibes, and then it took a dip. But tell me what you think about that.
I like vampire movies, and this is a vampire movie, which obviously you don't realize right away at the beginning of the trailer, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. But it looks really good. And I am excited about. Watching. It looks cool. Uh-huh. The only person that I knew though was the actress that played Missandei in Game of Thrones. I didn't know anybody else.
Has she been in anything else besides Game of Thrones?
I mean, not that I know of.
I mean, she was.
I'm sure she has, but she looked hot as hell too.
Very pretty.
But yeah, it looks cool. Obviously I'll link the trailer in the description and stuff if you haven't seen the trailer for it. But it looks like so I have never seen like the original movie,
of what, The Invitation?
No, not. There was a movie called The Invitation, but that was completely different to this one, and I actually have seen that movie also. No, the 1960 movie, The Brides of Dracula, because that's basically the premise of the movie. That it looks like it's Dracula, and he's trying to marry her.
But the Brides of Dracula sounds like plural.
Well, yeah, he might already have a few in the movie.
Yeah, that is true.
And she's just the newest one.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it looks awesome. I don't know. I don't know if there's how many like super like jump scare shit there's gonna be in it. It doesn't seem like it looks more like again, I almost sometimes with like monster movies, especially like well known ones, like where it's like Frankenstein, werewolf, vampire movies, I don't necessarily look at them as like horror scary. It's more like it's a monster movie. Fuck yeah. Like I never really thought of the underworld movies as horror movies.
No, they're 100% action. 100% action.
Yeah. I mean, there's like some scare. There's probably like a few jump scares every now and then, but like I never once was like, oh my god, I'm going to go see a fucking scary movie. It was like, I'm going to go see the new Underworld movie.
That's like saying the Blade movies were horror movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. There was a scary elements in those movies, but again, it was like a vampire movie. It was more like, oh hell yeah, the new Blade movie or whatever. Yes. So yeah, I'm not really going into this being like I'm gonna be scared. It's more like I'm going into this being like, oh fuck yeah, another vampire movie. I like vampires. So I'm hoping that it doesn't disappoint. I believe that it's coming out. What did it say in like September?
Something like that.
August. Comes out in August. But yeah, it looks cool. I will be watching this one. So yeah, I have to check it out. See, it's called The Invitation, but then when I look it up, they have it as a different name, The Bride.
That's weird.
So sometimes movies have that.
Have like multiple titles?
Yeah, it was weird. I like recently I was watching a movie with Morgan Freeman and Antonio Banderas.
That sounds like a fantastic movie.
It's a heist movie.
It sounds even more fantastic.
And I believe I found it as The Code, but there was another name for it. Like the name that I kept searching for, I couldn't find the movie, and as soon as I typed in the alternative name, the movie came up, and then I was like, "What the hell? Why does this movie have like two names?" But yeah. Anyway, looks cool. Definitely gonna be checking that out. That's pretty soon. We're basically in July. So, like in 2 months, that movie will be coming out.
I mean, next week Thor comes out, and I wasn't even ready for it to already be out. I haven't even got to see Lightyear yet.
I haven't seen Lightyear yet either.
I really want to. I don't know if something got spoiled or not, or if maybe it was just art design, but somebody like was posting pictures.
No, I haven't seen anything. So okay. If it ruined for you, sucks for you, not for me.
Okay. Fine, I won't say anything.
All right.
Like nothing story-wise, I would say. It was just more of like a nod to something that I was just like, what the fuck?
What the fuck, man?
What the fuck, man?
All right. Coolio.
All right, well, after that, we'd like to move to our favorite segment known as
Anime is an important part of our culture!
And for this, I'd like to just say, I don't have too much to say, really. It looked like we were starting to get certain. I've seen certain teasers of like the animation of like Chainsaw Man, so I'm hoping that comes out soon. I know a few weeks ago we talked about an ass ton of animes that were coming out. There's still just that major hype behind the new Hunter x Hunter that'll be coming out. I think the author even posted another picture of like more pages that are being done. And I did want to talk about this, which I think is cool, and at the same time, god damn me for just watching it. Have you noticed how like TikTok now will do this thing where it's just pictures instead of like a video, and you can actually swipe through however many pictures are on the thing?
No,
You
I
haven't seen
I
that
haven't
yet?
noticed that.
Okay,
No.
well, they've been doing that. Like, it's versus like instead of just holding the camera on, one thing and then switching to something else after a couple seconds pass. I mean, because you can piece together videos however you can.
Yeah.
Now it seems like people are just taking pictures of stuff and then they're putting like music behind it, and then like you set up a timer on TikTok before it switches to the next one, or you can just straight up just take your finger and just swipe through however many pictures are on there. But basically, someone had posted a couple manga chapters of Jujutsu Kaisen on there of stuff that happens later that I haven't seen, and instead of immediately going like, no, I'm not there yet, I just read all of it and I was like, God damn it.
Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. You are the architect of your own demise constantly, and all of the, like, you're like, oh yeah, I saw that on TikTok. It's like, you didn't immediately, every single time something Attack on Titan, the minute somebody was like, in that new attack, I was like, boop, I didn't even, he might have said, in the new heart attack that I had yesterday, but I didn't, as soon as he said attack, I was like, nope.
I heard attack and I got scared.
Yeah. Like, I refuse to, and then you're just like, oh, Attack on Titan, I want to hear what they're saying, and then it's like, oh, I just spoiled something for myself. It's like, you do this to yourself. I like constantly say this in and out of playing D&D. I'm like, you do this to yourself. It's like, you're the DM, you destroy your own game, and then you're like, why are you guys doing this? It's like, you did this, you put this here. That's why we're doing it now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sometimes pretty good about just going away from it, but I just think I got like drawn into the idea of like people, like, because I think it's kind of cool to post like manga chapters and stuff like that on TikTok or on some type of social media site. But I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool.
Again, it's like, if you're a reader and you're going to read all the manga, then you're like, cool, I know what's going to happen and I can't wait for this to be animated. But if you're like me and you don't read manga and you just want to watch the fucking show, I'm not going to go through, and I expect you not to be like, dude, because that's like one of the things I hate the most that you do is like when you'll watch something with me and you're like, oh man, something cool's about to happen. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Well,
Tito.
so
I
most
just
of the
wanna
time that
see
I
this.
do that is because I hate how often you're on your goddamn phone when we're watching shit, because you're like, I don't feel you actively paying attention. Because even if you say like, oh, I'm listening, it's like, okay, but if you're staring at your phone, you're not staring at the damn screen. So it's just like, I'm trying to make sure you're just like, don't look at your phone right now, look at the TV. Yeah.
I mean, I'll just, again, there's a rewind button, man.
That's annoying,
It's
though.
not.
It's annoying that you
annoying
can't just
to
be
who?
paying attention to the TV.
But it's annoying to who?
It's annoying
To who?
to everyone.
It's annoying to you.
Get in the comments.
You've already seen it, and you're like, I'm going to watch it in English now. It's like, hey, no, I'm going to watch it in English now. So if I miss something, I'll just rewind, and then I'll watch it. And if you're like, oh, well, if you were paying, that doesn't matter. I'm watching it. You're sitting with me.
Clearly, you're not watching it if you have to rewind it.
Yeah.
I digress. So yeah, all that stuff.
You're on your phone upstairs just now, watching a show that you haven't seen yet.
Watching a show that I haven't seen yet?
Yeah, I saw you. You're playing your goddamn little fucking Minesweeper fucking game while your fucking show was on.
I was thinking upstairs.
Yeah. Like
not
literally fucking
I'm not
20
playing
minutes.
Minesweeper.
20 minutes ago, whatever the hell. You know exactly Candy Crush version of another version of Candy
another
Crush.
version of Candy Crush.
Yeah, so you do the same thing and you're over here calling the kettle black.
Calling the pot kettle black. No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were.
No, I wasn't.
I watched you.
No, I was not.
I was right behind you as you were swiping.
I was eating, so I was not.
You were not eating. You were eating while I was in the bathroom. When I walked out, you were not eating. You were still watching it, and I saw you playing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, with my own eyes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank
Didn't
you.
happen.
Thank
Didn't
you.
happen.
So you do the same thing.
Nope.
I watched you. You can't say no. I saw it.
I look up constantly.
I saw it. Doesn't matter. It does not matter.
I have to use all my lives.
I don't care. I saw you. Bam. Got him.
So Junior still sucks though because it's his fault that I do it.
Bam got him.
It's his fault that I do it.
I got him. You guys, we got him. What is that from? Family Guy?
It's from You Suck.
Got him.
Anyways, movie things right along. If anything, Dad?
Movie things right along. What are you talking about? You haven't barely said anything.
Yeah, but
No,
I
I don't.
didn't have too much.
Yeah,
I
me
didn't have too
neither.
much.
I haven't like watched anime in a while. I'm like way far behind.
I've only been
on-
keeping up. I mean, Spy
with
Family.
the Kardashians. Yeah, I know. I don't know why
potentially-
you watch that.
Spy Family potentially.
I haven't
the
seen that
First
in
season
forever.
ended with 12 episodes, but like I wouldn't really say that they had like.
I'm only like 4 episodes into that.
Yeah, I don't know that it had like a season ender. Like it was just. I mean, the last episode they put out was fucking hilarious and awesome, but I don't know that was like a. Like it didn't leave like a cliffhanger, and not to say, like most animes I even think off of like season ones normally don't, unless you're Tokyo Revengers, and then you leave a huge cliffhanger. But
That
yeah,
anime is awesome.
I watched that, and then fucking goddamn One Piece did another filler episode basically last week, of just like they did those stupid ass recap episodes, like, and they just not that long ago did one
They're
already.
like, this is Shanks, and then you're like, I know who Shanks
Yeah,
is.
I know who it is. Just fucking show me what's going on. This is a badass fight going on. There's no need to give me a filler episode. So we have that. I don't know why. Like, there are times that Boruto just like gets annoying to me. So like, I end up saving up a bunch of episodes, and then one day I just binge watch like 5 or 6. So I'm a little behind on that.
I like can't find it. What's annoying to me is that like I started watching Boruto on Hulu, and then immediately caught up to like the where they were stopped being dubbed, and I'm like, at this point they're like what in the 200s or something.
Yeah, they're
And it's like,
they're
why
up
the
there.
fuck does Hulu still only have through like episode 70?
They are up there, which
And
blows
the
my
same
mind.
thing with Naruto.
I have a new Rising of Shield hero.
Naruto has been dubbed all the way through, but Hulu only has it all the way through like episode 100 or 200 and something.
They're already on episode 255. Like this, it.
Oh,
there's
speaking
no,
of Shield Hero, the voice actor that voices the Shield Hero in English passed away like a couple weeks ago.
R.I.P.
And I think I was telling you that like other animes that he's voiced.
What's his face? I immediately forgot his name. Oh, Robbie from Critical Role. Well,
Yeah.
it was actually like his first time playing D&D on Exandria Unlimited and then Critical Role.
Still part of
He's
Critical Role.
he's the voice of Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen English dub, and I was like, oh, that's awesome because he's fucking one of my new favorite.
I told you. I went through. I was like, oh, this guy voices a lot of people.
You had mentioned it, I know, in the past, but like I was scrolling, I think, through Twitter, and it was just posting.
It's like I haven't gone through like all of the Critical Role people, but for whatever reason, when I went through Robbie, I was like, he seems like he's the most relevant.
Laura, and I think Matt voice a lot of anime characters. I don't know that the other ones have voiced a lot of them. Also, Damian Haas from Smosh, he voiced a character in the new Fire Emblem game that just came out.
He voices a lot of video game stuff. He also has he voices like 3 Fortnite characters also.
Oh.
But
What do
yeah.
you think? Would you rather prefer to be in a video game or a show, or do you think that's the same?
No, I don't think it's the same. I'd rather be in a show because I think you can still get residual checks. How would you get a residual check from a video game? If once I buy the video game, PlayStation doesn't go, oh, this guy played Fire Emblem today. Send out the check to Damien because somebody played it today. I think it's just you get paid for that job and then that's it. And you get paid while you're doing the anime, but then like reruns of anime, that would mean that you could probably, you get paid again. Have you ever seen Dante Bosco on TikTok?
No.
I think I follow him now, but like when he first like popped up on my TikTok, he does this thing called residual check lottery, and he just has like a stack of residual checks, and then he'll just pull one out, and like his little premise is like whatever he gets on that check is like will determine what he's gonna have for dinner. So like sometimes he'll be like, he'll open it up and be like, oh, this is for one episode of blah 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 that I did, because it's like he was really really big in the 90s. Like it was like, besides the movies that we'd seen him in, like he guest starred in like he was in an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like I remember when I rewatched all of it, I was like, holy shit, that's Dante Basco. So he did a bunch of guest starring in TV shows, and so anyway, he like pulls one out, he'll open it up and be like, oh, this is from when I was on blah 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 blah, and then he'll be like, oh, that show reran, or you know, whatever, I got paid $14 or whatever. So he's like, cool, I can get X or whatever. And then sometimes he's like, oh, this is from some movie that I did, and then his residual check will be like, oh, this is for like $220, and he's like, cool, I'm getting steak tonight or whatever. And it's like, I was like, oh, that's cool. But it's like, I don't see how that would happen in a video game, because you know, it's not like a thing that can get replayed. I mean, it can, but I mean, like, you'd already own it.
I get that. No, yeah, I get.
It's the same thing. It's like if you buy a DVD. If I buy the DVD, it doesn't. The guy doesn't get a residual check every time I pop it in and watch it.
Of course, that would be insane. Who would be able to
Yeah.
track? First of all, if they could track that, like we need to start asking questions on how the hell they're tracking that.
Yeah.
Who put these microchips in the DVDs, guys?
Well, now my question is, now besides the DVD thing, because I just brought that up, what if the movie's on Netflix?
That's
you play it.
That's easy enough to be tracked, but I also feel like
But yeah, but what I'm saying is, I wonder if they get paid.
Netflix pays for the rights to have like those movies and shows on there, right? And that's the other thing. I don't know if does Netflix have a monthly subscription to every single one of these movies and TV shows they have on there, or is it just like a flat price that they give?
Well, it might be like a flat price for a certain amount of time. It's like, hey, we're gonna give you, we're gonna give you $1 million to have this movie on our platform.
Do you
for
think it's that much?
6 months.
That sounds insane.
I mean, it does, but when you, but when you think about
How many people have Netflix
subscriptions,
and have
yeah,
subscriptions?
and it's like $14 a month, and then you're like, yeah, 1 million people have this, which is obviously way more than 1 million. But even if 1 million people had it, that's $14 million
a month. Yeah, which is it's way more than 1 million.
Yeah,
it is way more than 1 million, guys. So yeah, okay, yeah, I have no idea. Netflix, reach out to us with your prices.
Obviously, not to mention merch and stuff for the shit that goes really, really well, like Stranger Things. It's like they produce that themselves,
yeah.
And they have an ass load of merch for that. So every time somebody buys it, I'm sure that Netflix is getting a piece of that.
Here's a fucking thing. Stranger Things is getting a season 5.
I thought they said this was done.
That's what I said too. And then my friend at work was like, no, they're getting a season 5.
I don't think that's true. I believe that I heard the Duffer Brothers, who are the ones that made this show, I believe they said, and I don't know if it's the same thing as what happened with Peaky Blinders, but I believe they said that they had always had an intention of it ending in a movie.
So here's what I read, because I literally looked it up right when it was actually Angel. I don't know why I'm saying my buddy. It was Angel. Angel told me that this was supposed to have a season 5, because we were up on ASORT together on Tuesday. But I talked to him, and he was just like, no, they're supposed to have one. So I looked it up, and it said that they had always planned on Stranger Things having 5 seasons. But because of the pandemic, stuff had gotten like pushed back. Because it took 3 years in between season 3 and now season 4.
Maybe.
So there was that big chunk. So they had always said that they had planned on that, but they weren't necessarily gonna be giving away too much on what was supposed to happen. I mean, when this episode comes out, we're already gonna be watching part 2 of Stranger Things season 4. So by next week, when we do the next episode of the podcast, we'll be able to
July 4th, 2019 was season 3. So yeah, it was almost 3 years.
Yeah,
in between
by
seasons.
3 days.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, doesn't this feel like we got a season 4 and 5?
Well,
this first half of the season was 7 episodes.
What I'm saying is, why the fuck would you give us why would you split season 4 into 2 parts? Granted, it was only a month apart, fine, but still, why would you split that into 2 parts? If you were going to be like, oh, we're still going to give you a season 5. This feels like the, ultimate thing that's going to, everybody is on pins and needles for Stranger Things season 4 part 2. Even if you had never watched Stranger Things, someone had definitely convinced you to watch it ever since season 4 came out. I was at a bar last night and they were playing Running Up That Hill. Like, are you kidding me? This fucking show has taken over.
Yeah. I remember when I first watched it, because it was like, oh, Stranger Things, this new show called Stranger Things. And I actually watched like the first 4 episodes with my buddy Nick. He was the one that was like, oh, dude, have you seen the show? And I was like, no. And then I watched it, and then I was like, oh, this show's cool. And then as it kept coming out, I kept watching it. Yeah, I'm excited for this second half of season 4.
Yeah.
So I think that there's just going to... So it wasn't confirmed or denied that there's a season 5 then?
Well, from what I read, they said that there was supposed to be a season 5. But again, all I'm saying is, second part's coming out tomorrow. So we'll watch it, and then it'll either give us a cliffhanger or it'll be a wholesome ending, and it'll be done. Like, just depending on what ends up happening, you have Vecna, you have the Mind Flayer still being, like, alive in the Upside Down. So it's just like, what's next? Like, either they have to destroy both of these entities or they're going to have to come up with something new, because each season has its own thing that they haven't really necessarily repeated anything.
I thought the Mind Flayer was just one of the villains, because that's who they defeated in season 3.
Well, it wasn't even like defeating him so much. It was the fact that they closed off, like, because the Mind Flayer didn't necessarily so much... Like, the entire entity didn't enter, like,
but
the
he's
real
not
world.
the main villain, right?
No, they're saying the Mind Flayer is. They even said so in season...
because they
in season
said
4. They said
Vecna's a general,
so
not...
the Mind Flayer is the big bad. Which, if you know D&D lore, sounds messed up, because a Mind Flayer is more of a regular enemy and Vecna's a big bad.
Yeah, Vecna's a god.
Yeah.
But again, this isn't technically D&D. This is what they're calling this stuff, because because the Demogorgon does not look like the Demogorgon in Dungeons and Dragons.
Here's one thing that I guess like, some people might call it a plot hole or it's just part of the story, but there is one thing that I wish and hope could get explained. Like, where the fuck did the Upside Down come from? Like, if we get, like, some explanation on how that exists, that'd be pretty cool. But, like, so far, it's just there. There's no mention of, like, why the fuck it exists, or why the hell, like, randomly...
I don't know why you need an explanation. It's just a thing in the world. Like, there's an Upside Down world, and we just don't ever see it.
We just need an 11 to make it in and just do our own quest in there.
Yeah. I don't really need an explanation for the Upside Down. I just kind of feel like it's a thing. It's like kind of like, why are there ghosts? But why does it matter why they are? There just are. Like,
they're real, guys. All right. Don't be messing with spirits. Like, cut that shit out.
Yeah. It's just like a thing. Just like there's certain things that we just haven't discovered. Mm-hmm. So it's just like they discovered that there was an Upside Down, and now it's there, and that's
I think it'd be cool. I don't know. I like answers to questions. But
then that would, God. There you go. There's your answer.
That's, yeah.
Because it's like, what we were like, who created the Upside Down?
Well, but it's just, there's like, here's the thing. If you were just going to call it a parallel universe with like different monsters, I'd be like, that would be something I could easily accept. But it's the fact that it's a mirror world to like,
that's fucking
Hawkins exactly. And it's just,
but I don't think it's just Hawkins though.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Because there was something I had missed, and this is another thing that this has become a Stranger Things podcast. A thing that me and Angel talked about where I couldn't remember how they explained that Hopper had survived that blast. And I was just like, because were they trying to explain that he jumped through the portal or the gate and then ended up in Russia? And it was like, no, he like somehow dove under stairs and didn't get killed. And then he got captured by Russia, and then obviously they took him over there. But
that to me is like just a little bit of a plot hole too. It's like they discovered that there was Russians in Hawkins. They thwarted their plan, but like they didn't kill the Russians.
Well, so you see them like in season at the end of season 3. You see,
Yeah, you
the-
just
the
rewatch it so
military-
you can
yeah,
explain this to
you
me.
see the military show up and like finally kind of shut things down because Joyce and Hopper called this this number that they were given if they ever needed help from the government, from like the people that were still running Hawkins Lab after season 1. So they show up, but it's just like, they caught some of the Russians, but they still were like, some were also able to like get away.
That they were like lurking in
Yeah.
the underground of the mall.
Yeah.
So then they just find Hopper and somehow they got on a plane and went back to Russia.
Yes. So I mean, again, he was the only like American prisoner that they brought, but yeah, there was like a couple, obviously just Russian soldiers that ended up getting away from that too. But it was just like, cause like at the beginning of
Oh,
season,
by the way, segment over. We're not even talking about anime.
oh, yeah. Because at the beginning of season 3, the first thing they show you is that they're in Russia and they're trying to open a gate. And then when it's becoming like way too hard, they realize that a gate had already been opened in Hawkins, that they're just like, this will be an easier place to do it because there's already been one. And then that's what the Russians are trying to do.
Okay.
But yeah, then they end up closing the gate though, and when they close the gate and they blow up the machine, they cut off contact between the Mind Flayer and that giant monster that it's controlling, the giant just mob of flesh, which was an insane creature. But they kind of said how like they did the body snatchers kind of like that in season 3. They had like the demo dogs, and how like Will was like being controlled by the Mind Flayer and like kind of like commanding where the demo dogs would go, or like tricking people into falling for traps. And then in the first one, it was just like the first like Demogorgon, and then just Will was missing. So
But in that one, the Demogorgon kept like phasing back and through.
So yeah, which
is weird because usually it's like they have to come out through a specific portal that like 11 was the one that had opened originally.
With the Demogorgon, which first of all, also the Demogorgon is a demon prince in D&D lore, which again is much of a more stronger entity than just a regular Mind Flayer. But anyways, but it could only travel within a certain distance that was within the gate. And it was just it was basically able to create small gates and then return through it, and then it would close back up. So it wasn't able to keep any type of gate open. Because now apparently in, small spoiler for season 4, it seems like Vecna is opening up multiple gates throughout Hawkins, through what one can only imagine will be supposed to be some type of like invasion. But I mean, 11 was the original one to open a gate into the Upside Down. And the Mind Flayer knows of 11's existence and knows that she poses like a threat. So we will see. Season 4 part 1 was phenomenal. Like not even close to being any type of competition. It was the best season so far.
Season 4?
Yeah.
Who is the other sibling that 11 meets? 8?
Yes, she gets to meet 8 in season 2, and also Angel and I talked about how we just felt like that was meh, because like
because
meet
it's
her
like
and then it's just like
because in season 4 you see what happens
to the rest of them. Like I always like, and I mean maybe it was a little.
It's like now you saw 8, and then it's like okay, so where are they?
It was a little silly that I used like after meeting 8, I thought like at some point it would have just been like a bunch of random ones show up, and because like 8 had a different power than 11 did, and I thought they were gonna have like, you'll get someone that just Professor X can just like be like a telepath and reach into people's minds and just talk to them like that, or someone else that can do something different with their mind. So I was kind of hoping for like this group of just psychics that come in and start like saving them from whatever was coming out of the Upside Down, but it like. I don't even know what they would do if they, for whatever reason, decided to bring 8 back. Like, at this point, it just kind of seems like a moot point.
Yeah.
Like, I think she was definitely there for, like, character development for 11, for her to, like, kind of, like, grow up a little bit and for her to realize, because that's in season 2, and she keeps going from place to place, and every time she goes to, like, a new place, they keep calling it home, and at the end, when she finally returns to Hawkins, like, 11 goes, like, now I'm home. Like, that's, like, her finally deciding where her own place is. So if anything, you could say 8 was just another leg of 11's journey to realizing where her actual home was and where she felt she belonged.
Also, are you finding it a little annoying? Because I know I am. I'm finding it a little annoying that now we're in season 4 and 11 still talks like she's 5 years old. Like, it's been years now. I understand at the beginning why she talked the way she talked, which even that was a little weird because it was like she was around people at the hospital that all spoke normal English.
The laboratory, I wouldn't necessarily call it a hospital.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. But they all spoke normal English. None of them were talking to them like, okay, you go there. Okay, you see, and then you touch this, and then you go sleep. Bye.
What,
nobody talked to them like that.
do-
So why the fuck do they all talk like that? And also, again, it's been like 5 years now since she got out of the lab. Why the hell does she still talk like that?
Yeah. I think there has to do, like, with some versions.
Break up your ass.
Like, with some versions, no, it's I dump your ass.
Yeah, I dump your ass.
There's some versions
Even that,
of,
it's like, what the
obviously, depending on, like, what your upbringing is. Because number one, I don't think they were just necessarily allowed to just talk to each other all the time or really interact well. But I think
Also, I'm pretty sure the other kids.
Yes, I think a bigger plot hole is the fact that in season 4, when they're showing you 11's memories, the other kids spoke like perfect English.
Yeah, the other kids didn't talk like that. I was just remembering that, like, the ones that are bullying her don't talk like that.
Yeah.
So why the fuck does she talk like that?
That is true. It is, like, I think that was the bigger plot hole, because originally, like, at the beginning, like, like, she's 11, but to me, like, in season 1, you just think of it as, like, oh, there were 10 failed experiments before they got to her.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, originally I just kind of assumed it was like, oh, well, because I feel like that does happen sometimes, that there are definitely people who understand English easily, but when it comes to talking, just depending on what, like, they've been through, they don't speak well, or, like, they're just, again, I mean, there are horrible situations in the world where sometimes people are, like, told, like, you don't say a single fucking word, like, ever, but you just listen to what I say and do what I tell you to do. But even then, though, like, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, you
do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, you and Megan aren't English professors or even teachers in your own right, but Max can still form complete sentences just from, like, hearing what you guys say. So.
Yeah. Again, it's different when you're like a kid. You're just like, I put 3 words together and you're like, I want cookie, not I want a cookie, which is what it's supposed to be. But again, when you get to like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, then you're like, I want a cookie, Dad, and please give me the cookie. Like, why? That's the thing that, and again, it didn't really bother me at first, where I was just like, no, yeah, I get it. But now it's like, why the fuck does she still talk like that?
They're just barely freshmen in season 4.
Yeah.
So, like, you could say that they were maybe in the 6th grade, like, definitely middle school in season 1, like 6th grade, which it puts them at what, like 10 years old, 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So, like, if 11, same age, so 11 or 12, when they all meet, they don't tell you how old she was when she defeated, or when she did whatever she did in, like, season 4. Like, towards the end, like I said, she's, like, in her memories or something, and you get to see something happen to the extent of you don't know how old she was right there. Because basically from that memory, she's by herself, and that's where you get, like, this why she was alone in season 1.
Yeah. All right, enough about Stranger Things.
Yeah, great show. Everybody watch it. part 2 tomorrow. Today.
So what else have we been up to and watching? I don't think we're gonna get into anything else except for that.
No, I don't know. I don't. No, I got right back into Critical Role with season 2, The Mighty Nine, and now I'm almost at episode 70. So I'm definitely making like some good headway with that.
Yeah, to me it just seemed daunting.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, no way. I'm not like, it was like, there's like 100 and something episodes and they're like 4 hours long or whatever. I was like, no fucking way am I gonna watch like 400 and something hours.
Well, I mean, again,
this
like
on top of trying to keep up with the other stuff.
well, like
or whatever.
I mean, we've already said before that sometimes like they also kind of transmit that into like podcasting too, where you could just hear the whole episode unfold if you're cool with just theater of the mind. Which is why like there's a bunch of episodes that I got through kind of in the same fashion where like when you're grinding in a video game, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just turn down the volume or just put your headphones in. You're like, and I'll just listen to podcasts for like 6-7 hours while I'm gaming. So, it's kind of like two birds, one stone with that. So I did that a lot with a lot of the episodes where it was just like, it was difficult for me whenever they get into battles, I want to also look, but then that turned into a lot of like, well, now I'm not playing video games because I'm constantly trying to stare at the battles, but like following along, like sometimes it surprises me how much, if you watch a TV show, it's like 20, 30, 45, an hour of an episode, right? That's it. That's all the content that you have to like, quote unquote, remember if it's like a story that's following along and it's not that every episode is unique. Critical Role is, 3.5 to 4.5 to sometimes 5 hours of, sometimes it is like some funny role playing that doesn't matter too much. Like, oh, it was like a shopping episode or they were doing, but then other times it's lore drop.
It's all this information.
So,
it's a huge
like,
information dump.
Like, I feel like impressed with myself at times when, I'm, like I said, I'm close to episode 70 and they'll bring up something that happened back in like the early teen episodes. And I was like, I remember exactly what happened. Like, I know exactly what they're talking about. So like, I'm definitely retaining the information and I don't know. It's awesome. I definitely think it's easier, obviously, if you're a part of the game to really retain like that type of information. Like, I feel like I would be extremely upset as a dungeon master / game master if like I dropped like some big story thing and you guys just looked at me with like a blank face. And then I have to be like, remember 10 sessions ago when this happened? Oh, like that would piss me off so much to the extent of like, are you guys even paying attention? But so I like, honestly, that's all I've done. I went and saw Troy last weekend and me and him played some Lego Star Wars 2, which is what you and I have been Twitch streaming. But besides that, I haven't done much. Critical Role, Lego Star Wars. I need to get back into Final Fantasy. I really want to go to GameStop and see what's going on over there because I haven't been in a hot minute.
You can go to GameStop today.
I'm out of touch with what games are coming out next.
Well, we can all go. We can pick Max up from school and we can go to GameStop because I kind of want to go to GameStop too.
You got any games on your phone?
I, however, I've still been playing Black Flag. Oh, also you just decided to start watching Black Sails with me at the very end. You watched like the last 2 or 3 episodes of season 3, and now we're watching the final season 4 together, and we're only like 3 episodes away from finishing that. I just want to fucking finish it.
Well, like I said, like I think I made the joke with I think who was it, with Chelsea or Megan, where you were talking to someone about, you were just like, right now Tito's watching Black Sails with me. I was like, well, you love explaining shows to me. You explained the whole goddamn show to me that I was just like, well, now I have to see how it ends.
Well, yeah, you sat down and you're just like, what's happening? I was just like, well, I guess I'm telling you.
No.
Because like in the middle of I'm watching episodes, I'm like pausing it and I'm just like, so then this happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're almost done with that. I'm still playing Black Flag. I'm over 50% through the game and I've collected an ass load of the collectibles and stuff. I'm really enjoying it. I really enjoy the fucking high seas combat. I wish that I would have played this when it first came out. I like wanted to, but I think after seeing some of seen a few of the Assassin's Creed games, I was just like, I just hate how repetitive. Like, you don't really feel like you're an expert combatant for being an assassin. Like,
Well, you're not, but I feel like that's the thing, though. And here's the second. No, here's the thing that I feel like they fucked up with that, like, genre, because, like, I mean, I fucking loved Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That game was fucking awesome. And the reason that I even wanted to start playing all the Assassin's Creed games was because of Black Flag. I thought being a pirate was so cool that I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go back and play all of the games from, you know, beginning to like now. And the first game, as repetitive as it was, the story assassination missions were meant to, you were supposed to try to set up everything so that you could assassinate someone quick and easy and then be able to make it out of there. Like, imagine the Hitman 47 games. There's a million different ways that you could kill somebody and then just like leave as if you were never there.
yeah, but then you can also just get a fucking machine gun and kill everybody if you
of course,
want.
sure. But like the games that kind of like, I don't know too much about the Ezio trilogy, but the games that followed seemed like they focused more on like open world and being like, as a Viking, I did not feel like a fucking assassin. I could assassinate people, but I was a fucking Viking, and most of the time you were caught up in battles and side missions and all the other stuff that you could do. There's no part of it that really felt like, ooh, I'm an assassin. Like, I think it's gotten to a point where it's way more based on like, you've got whatever story is going on in your current game, but you've also got the underlying story of like the Assassins and the Templars in the current world, because everything is pretty much through like an animus. So like, yeah, Valhalla, I mean, even Black Flag again, I think Troy had told me that he got mad at Assassin's Creed 3 during the one that happens during the Revolutionary War, because he said that all of the assassinations ended up being like cutscenes versus like actually getting to like assassinate someone. So that's what, like, I feel like they really took that out of there. Like, sure, you could have fluid combat, and sure, you could kind of be somewhat of a badass, but an assassin isn't supposed to be some like phenomenal sword hand to hand. It's supposed to be like, yo, cover of darkness, I come in, I take you out, and I'm out. Like, you never saw it coming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want the assassinations to be easy, but sometimes I find them so stupid. Like, I find myself thinking like, I feel like this is something Tito would do in D&D, and I'd be like, you wanted me to assassinate him, but you put the guy in the middle of 17 guys that are just constantly circling him. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to assassinate this guy without immediately drawing?
That's extremely insulting that you think that I would do that, you
Like,
piece of dog shit.
How am I supposed to kill this guy without being seen? And it's like, there's a bush, and it's like, I can't even jump into the bush from here without being seen by 7 of these guys. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't know. Maybe there's other things that I haven't like, as the game progresses, you unlock more and more. Like, I have really not even used my smoke bombs a lot, because I also just feel like that shouldn't be the thing that you have to rely on to get an assassination. It's like, I throw a smoke bomb, I stab the guy while no one's watching, and then I run away. Then it's like,
I mean, that sounds exactly like what an assassination would look like. Like throwing a smoke bomb while everyone's like coughing. You just move through the smoke, stab them, and move out of the smoke as if you were.
I don't know,
there.
but I guess to me, I don't know why.
Well,
I guess to me,
I super messed up and you want to murder someone.
No. I guess to me, like, what I think of an assassination is like, nobody knows that it even happened. Like, this guy just falls down, and then you're like, oh my God, there was an assassination. Or somebody walks into their office and they're like, holy shit, who killed this guy? Like that. Not, I threw a smoke bomb and I stabbed him and then I ran away. People are still going to be like, holy shit, who did that? But at that point, you're like, something's happening because there was a smoke bomb. Why was there a smoke bomb that just happened?
I think the point of it though is you're assassinating most of the time. I mean, you know, in the first game, you're assassinating these high value targets, and it's like it's more difficult for information gathering. I would feel like, especially back in those times.
Because that's what I was gonna say. Because that's something that you can get in Hitman.
So yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like most of the time, assassinations would have to take place in public places because you know exactly where your target is going to be.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is that like that's the element that I feel is missing, where it's like, because they just go like you get an assassination target and they're like, kill your target, and then they tell you on the map where he is, and then you go there and all he does is walk back and forth and there's a bunch of guards around him, and it makes it feel a little lazy, where it's just like, how about instead you follow because there's already missions where you walk around and you just stay unseen and you're eavesdropping. Why isn't that part of every assassination? It would also feel a little repetitive, but if you did that, then you would hear like, oh, on Tuesdays he's in the bathhouse. Then you're like, okay, that opens up for the assassination. I know that every Tuesday he's gonna be at the bathhouse. So then you wait in the bathhouse, you wait in the locker room, or whatever the fuck, and then when he comes in after his bath or right before his bath, you pop out of one of the lockers, you fucking stab him, and then you leave, and then nobody even fucking knows about it. That feels like an assassination. Just being like, this is his house that's heavily guarded doesn't feel like an assassination. It just feels like, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna kill him, and I might end up killing 2 or 3 of his guards while I'm trying to escape. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, the information gathering is a part that I feel is missing from that. Anyway, I digress.
For sure.
Yeah, so we're playing that, watching that, and then I just been watching an ass load of movies and TV shows. I binged the entire season in like one sitting of this show called Bear or The Bear. And it's got clicked on the wrong thing. It's got the older brother from what's that? From Shameless.
Oh,
the guy that's
okay.
got like
was that the show that they were showcasing on Hulu?
Yes, it's
Okay.
a Hulu original.
Yeah. So you binge watch all of that?
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah. I know it's Lip.
Yes. Yes, I watched the entire first season. It's like 10 episodes. They're all like 20 minutes. It's like a half-hour show. I think it was on FX and now it's on Hulu.
Is it a satire?
No, it's not a satire.
It's not funny at all.
It's funny, but there's also a lot of drama. It's a good show. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's like the whole premise is the main character, his name is Carmine, but they call him Carmi or Carmen. He is
They
like
call him Carmine? Lip?
No, that's his name, Carmine.
Okay.
They call him Carmi or Carmen.
Carmine's already a badass name.
Yeah.
Carmine Falcone.
He is like a world-renowned chef. He worked like in like the most fancy restaurant like on planet Earth. And he is now running a restaurant in Chicago.
Did you say on planet Earth?
Yes.
The fanciest?
Yes. Like
Jesus.
Like, yeah, he like legit. It's like a restaurant it's a real restaurant. It's called the French Laundry. And
The French Laundry?
yes. And he worked there. And it's funny. He was the second chef in command.
It's sous chef?
And the main chef was Joe McHale.
I don't know who that is. I'm assuming a famous chef.
No, stupid.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Joe McHale is from fucking Community. Jeff Winger.
Oh, they had Jeff Winger playing a head
And he
chef?
was a dick
I
in
would
the
assume.
scene that you saw him. But anyway, so he comes back to run his family.
66 dick.
He comes back to run his family restaurant in Chicago. So once again, just like Shameless, this is taking place in Chicago. He comes back to run a family restaurant in Chicago that was run by his older brother, who is played by John. His last name is like Bernthal. It's the Punisher, Shane from Walking Dead.
Oh, he's in the show too?
He is, but only in flashbacks. His brother committed suicide
Jesus.
and left him the restaurant.
Okay.
So he leaves this other restaurant to become the head chef at this restaurant, but it's like a dive. They serve like Italian beef sandwiches and shit like that, but it's like a shit show there, and it was run by him, by his older brother, and his older brother's best friend, who they referred to as cousin. They just called him a cousin, but he's not a cousin. And there's like major pushback between him and Carmine because he's like, dude, you're like this little kid compared to like me. His older brother was like his older brother, like fucking 10 years at least.
Okay. So it's just like, so the other friend that used to run it is just older than him and is trying to push him around, and Carmine's the one with all the experience.
Yes.
And I'm assuming Carmine is trying to make the restaurant better.
Yes.
Okay.
And then like another chef shows up because she knows who he is, and she's like, I want to work under you or whatever. And then he's like, you want to work here? And then she's like, yeah, if you're here, then I want to be here.
Oh, wow.
So it's a show about how they're trying to turn around that restaurant. So there's like a lot of drama and stuff.
Is the restaurant called The Bear?
No,
Okay.
The restaurant is called Chicago Beef, or Beef is the name of the restaurant. The reason that
Keep it simple, guys.
the reason that the show's called The Bear is because their last name is like something Italian, but it's like Berzanti or something. So they used to just go like The Bear. They would call him Bear. But the show was really cool. There's like a lot of drama, a lot of food stuff, and then I love that shit. But the fucking ending was wild. Like I said, it's not that long. They're like 20-minute episodes, 10 episodes, I believe. You can knock it out pretty easy in a sitting, in like a couple hours. But yeah, it was dope. Saw that, and then I've been watching I've talked about this before, how I listen to a bunch of other podcasts, and sometimes I get ideas for like movies or shows. So I'm like, oh, if this person's recommending it, I want to watch it or I want to see it. One of the podcasts that I listen to is called Pure Cinema Podcast, and their logo just is PCP. I've talked about it before, but the podcast is run by these two guys who run a movie theater called the New Beverly in Los Angeles, and that movie theater is owned by Quentin Tarantino. He bought this old movie theater, and they play a lot of old movies. They also play current ones, but they also love playing a bunch of old movies because Quentin Tarantino loves a bunch of old movies. So these two guys do their own podcast, and every once in a while they'll have Quentin Tarantino on as a guest. And they've been doing a lot of like top 5 movies of this genre, or top 5 movies of this genre, and this and that. So they've been talking about a lot of stuff, and I've been listening to it while I've been like organizing and cleaning around the house and shit. So every time they talk about a movie that I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, I like fucking quickly jot it down. And they talk about stuff from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So like recently I've been watching a lot of like 70s movies. And a lot of 80s movies. So like you saw me, I was watching this movie with Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton.
Yes, that movie looks
called
hilarious.
The Night Shift.
Yeah.
And it's about these guys, they run a morgue, or at night, they work the night shift at a morgue, and this lady of the night, now they call them sex workers. In the movie, she's a prostitute.
I don't like, well, so,
Well, we're being politically correct to call them sex workers now, but back then they called them prostitutes.
Mad respect to sex workers in general, but I don't know that, like, I don't think, because I think when you refer to sex workers, you're talking about like legal sex workers in like the industries.
Well, no, I'm not. Everybody that works in the sex industry is now just a sex worker, whether it's considered legal or illegal.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't know if prostitution was a part of the industry because prostitution is still illegal.
It is. Well, I mean, but it is still illegal in in most places, but like it's called prostitution. Therefore, you would say you are a prostitute. However, in general, blanket statement, they're all being referred to as sex workers, whether it's legal or illegal. Your work
okay.
is sex.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was just like, I thought one was the legal part, because there's a lot of stuff for like, well, I mean, even just being like a stripper is considered sex work.
Yes.
When you're not doing any sexual favors for anyone.
Sometimes you are.
That's, no, then you cross the threshold into something else.
Anyway,
yeah.
digress.
I digress. Yeah,
I digress.
I'm sorry, guys.
So she so anyway, one of Henry Winkler's neighbors is a prostitute, and at the beginning of a movie, which is not a real big spoiler, her pimp gets killed. So a bunch of them, her and the rest of her friends that worked for this pimp, now don't have a pimp. They're getting beaten up and shit. So Michael Keaton has this bright idea that they should start running the girls out of the morgue at night because no one's there. It's just him and Henry Winkler. And they'll take a way smaller cut. And Henry Winkler used to be a financial wizard, so he's also helping them manage their money.
Well, he like promises them like dental and a health.
Yeah. It's fucking funny. The movie's really fucking funny. But it's called Night Shift. So I watched that. I watched another movie with Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks called Dragnet, which there was like an old show in the 60s or 70s that was called Dragnet, and that's where the famous line like "Just the facts, ma'am" comes from. Super fucking funny. That movie is really, really funny.
Like you say, that's like a famous line that came from that movie, but I also feel like I've never really heard it referenced.
You've never heard the "Just the facts, ma'am"?
No.
You never heard that?
No.
All right.
No.
Well, it gets referenced. Anyway, so I watched that movie. Really funny. And then I watched these movies by this director who's passed away, because it was like they were talking about like movies from like directors who were passed away, and this guy's name is Ken Russell, and he made like most of his movies were like autobiographies or biopics, and they were revolved around
Why did you air quote that? It's an autobiography.
because it's not an autobiography, a biography, because obviously an autobiography would be about yourself.
Yes.
A biography. Okay, so I'll explain it. Most of his movies were all about artists, whether it was like filmmaker, music, like artists, like traditional painters, sculptors, shit like that. But it was like a twist. He would always like do weird shit where it was like you were seeing stuff in their brain that wasn't actually happening.
Okay.
So I watched these two. One of them was called fuck. I immediately blanked on the name. The other one was called Mahler. Now, Mahler is like a famous composer of like way back when. But he's Jewish, and he's trying to get this job. The whole movie basically takes place on a train. And he is he's on a train on a trip with his wife, and he starts to have like a heart attack or a panic attack or something, and then he's just remembering all these memories from his past, like all these important things in his life.
Yeah.
So when he's he's like older on the train, and then you see him as a younger man. When he's trying to get this really high...
Explain this. I'm going to go get our guest.
Well, no, because I have to... This is going to be over because I have to leave to go get our other guest. I have to leave like now. So this is going to be the end. I'm going to wrap it up.
Lock it up.
Right. So he's on this train. He's older. He's remembering his shit, and he figures out, or he's trying to get this really prestigious job. They basically are like, they're never going to give it to a Jewish person. So he decides that he's going to convert to Catholicism. There is a scene where there's the conversion, and there's a reason why, like, this movie's like super controversial because of this scene. And I will show it to you, and I will also link it if you want to watch it. There's like Nazi stuff, crucifixion stuff, but it's like really fucking weird and funny, but it's just like, holy shit. It's super fucked. This And then this other movie that I watched by the same director, which again I can't think I could probably find it super fast. There's the Mahler one right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
Let's go, porque ya se puso calladita.
anyway, speaking in Spanish doesn't change anything. We're still on the podcast.
Hey!
So anyway, I watched these two movies. They're super weird. I was just Quentin Tarantino and these guys talk about shit that I want to watch. So now I just have an assload of open tabs on my phone and my computer where I'm trying to keep track, and I close them as I watch the movies. But anyway, we had stuff that we wanted to get to. We started talking about Stranger Things and a bunch of other shit, as often happens with us. So,
And that's what you come for, guys.
Yeah.
These tangents that just make it so that we have future stuff for more episodes. But anyways, guys, reach out to us whenever you can. Talk to us about anything nerdy. And we'll be back next week. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. But you can always catch me at Twitter and Instagram at BanditoTutor93. What about you, Junior?
at pops.maniac and nerdy.bros.inc on Instagram. Also, check us out on Twitch, Nerdy Bros Inc. on Twitch. But that's going to be
Give
it.
us a follow.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, guys, bye!